Alright, so coming up today, we have not one, but a twofer rapid review for everybody. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Yes, you heard that right at the top. I've got two comics that I'm here to talk about this week. Just got a chance to finally sit down and do some reading. I will definitely say beforehand that I actually bought these comics based off a review show on The Experience, which we will leave a link down in the description to their channel because they are on a run to 2,500 subscribers. But it's their Tuesday review show called Minute to Skim It, and it features Miss Jen, producer Kyle, and Jay from here on the channel. They basically all talk about 5 or 6 comics a piece, and I just happen to like 2 of these, mainly based on the covers, but the reviews also made them sound like they were worthwhile, so I went ahead and grabbed them to check them out. Alright, so the first of these 2 books that's coming up is called Daredevil Black Armor #1. Not gonna lie, I don't really know much about the Black Armor history, so this was a whole new thing for me. It is written by D.G. Chichester. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Apparently he has done a run with Daredevil before, and I guess it has to do with the Black Armor. So it was pretty cool to learn that he was able to come back and do another story. Pencils by Netho Diaz. Inks by J.P. Mayer. Colors by Andrew Dahlhaus. And letters by Clayton Cowles. So, like I said, I don't really have a lot of reference to the Black Armor in general or what's really been going on in a lot of the up-to-date Daredevil runs, although I do know that they introduced a new white suit in the last major run that they did. But nonetheless, this to me essentially is Matt Murdock reinventing himself. From what I'm gathering, whatever happened in a recent run, I guess Matt Murdock, Daredevil, supposedly is dead. So he is coming back, and he tries to reinvent himself and give him an alter ego named Jack. And he feels like he has to be rougher and more mean when it comes to fighting villains. So he has a new suit made with more armor on it so that he can take the hits as well as dish them out. At least that's my perception on this. It is a little bit confusing in that is that what's really going on in the comic, or is he still Matt and everything you see involving Jack is just kind of a bit of a fever dream, or it's his dad. The only parts that I'm sure about are when he's in the suit, and I'll definitely say I like the suit. I don't love it. There are a few things I don't like, mainly some of the things on the wrists, and the armor itself is a little weird looking, but that's one of those things. I guess I'm so used to the classic red suit or even his yellow suit that this one will just take a little bit to get used to. Confusion aside, I thought it was a solid issue. Art-wise, it was great to look at. Really well done. It's nice to see kind of a pencils and inks book, and having it done that way versus a lot of stuff you see is probably done a little more digitally. But nonetheless, it's a good story. Like I said, aside from it being confusing on whether Matt is actually Jack and this is a new persona that he's created, or if this is Matt having a bit of a weird dream. I can't find any info on it. When you look up like the solicitation, it basically gives away nothing on the story. So if anybody has a different perception on this, let me know in the comments. I do recommend that you check it out. I mean, if you are a fan of Daredevil, it is worth it. But yeah, hopefully I can get a hold of an issue 2, and maybe those questions that I have will start becoming clearer. But nonetheless, very cool issue. It had its moments of action, which most Daredevil comics do. They introduce you to Kingpin, and it's basically you watch how Kingpin and a few others meet what they consider this new Daredevil. They don't realize it's the same one because of how he acts and how he fights. So it's interesting to see that. So I will be interested to see how that plays out. And again, if any of these questions that I have are actually answered in the next issue or two. I probably will give this maybe another issue, and if it really doesn't grab me in, I'm probably done with this one. But yeah, so take it for what you will. Daredevil Black Armor #1. That's kind of my thoughts and first impressions on it. All right, so the second one in this one, this was the one that I was definitely the most excited to read. This is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers #114, Darkest Hour, which is apparently is the beginning of this new big crossover that they're doing for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. The reason why I picked this book up, other than the fact, like you can see here on the screen, that the cover is really cool. When Kyle reviewed this book, he said that this has the potential to be the biggest like crossover thing in Power Rangers history. And I said even more so than Shattered Grid. And he goes, this will make Shattered Grid look like a kid's story. When he told me that, I was like, all right, I've got to at least get a copy of this and give a few issues a try. So, that said, I got it, was able to get the cover I wanted. This one is written by Melissa Flores, art by Simone de Gianfelice. Please let me know if I got that wrong. Colors by Raul Angulo and Jose Enrique Fernandez, and letters by Ed Dukeshire. I did not read any of the preludes to Darkest Hour. I literally just jumped right into the story with this one. And they don't mess around, they don't mince words, they pretty much get right into the story, and it's basically Rangers from all factions, all different kinds of Ranger universes, from all parts of the universe and time are being captured, and we don't know why yet, but they're just being captured. They're being taken by the Death Ranger, and they're setting this up really, really well. When I say that they're taking Rangers, you have, of course, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You have Power Rangers in Space, Wild Force, SPD, I think is what it's called. I want to say Mystic Force they showed in this one. Dino Thunder. So there's a lot they're showing here. Now, there are a few other ones they haven't touched on yet. They did show, of course, Tommy, the White Ranger, in this issue. I won't tell you who he's there with, but that basically is the main villain behind everything, although it is a main villain that has been in the Power Rangers universe for almost since the beginning, at least since either Zeo or Turbo is when you really kind of learned about this guy. And then when they did comics, he's basically kind of the big bad that they just do not want to deal with. So I will say that, if you're a Power Rangers fan, you probably know who I'm talking about. Art-wise, this book was great to look at. I loved it. It was well thought out. I was never confused about what I was reading, which I really liked, especially because, admittedly, as a big fan of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers show, and I watched it all the way through Zeo and Turbo, I don't really know the comics very well. And I will say I've read a little bit of Shattered Grid, have not read that much. But beyond that, not a ton of experience with Power Ranger stuff in terms of the comic universe. That said, I didn't really feel lost because I have enough understanding of the universe and the mythos behind a lot of the characters that I'm seeing. So I felt good about what I was reading. I will say the Phantom Ranger is in here. I love that character. He was someone that I always wanted to see kind of dove into more when it came time for me to read comics. If you really want to see a great story about him, read Frank Gogel's Power Rangers comic that he did, which I believe was basically a bit of an origin story for the Phantom Ranger. I believe that was a great one. Jay, I want to say, reviewed it, and if he did, we're going to leave a link down in the comments for you to check out that video so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. But the Phantom Ranger is very cool. The one thing I have learned about him is he's been around since basically the beginning of the Morphin Grid. So I thought that was cool. So he's as old as Zordon, so he understands this kind of stuff. There was a very cool kind of, intimate down moment with him and Zordon that was kind of touching. So it was nice to have that kind of juxtapose against what was going on in the rest of the comic, which was very much a very serious tone, very dark. I enjoyed it. If you're a fan of Power Rangers, and really, even if you're not, if you like the possibility of having a big, grandiose story, this is going to be a crossover I think that you will enjoy. If you're a Power Rangers fan, you will really enjoy this, especially if it really is true that this might end up being bigger than Shattered Grid, which is one of the biggest, storylines ever in all of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I will say that there were a couple of Rangers that I didn't see. Most notably, there's no Jason yet, whether he's the Red Ranger or the Zeo Gold. So I'll be curious to see if he's brought in or if they use the Gold Ranger at all from Power Rangers Zeo. And there are other ones, whether they touch on like Power Rangers Ninja Storm and the Thunder Rangers from that series, which I thought was a cool one. It just remains to be seen how big they're going to go with, who they use. But yeah, I know I've rambled on about this one a lot longer than I did Daredevil. It's just because to me this one was just that much more fun of a read, and it was not confusing. I understood what I was reading. I liked it. I liked the fact that I could come in here without having really read the preludes and get the gist of what's going on right off the bat. So clear storytelling is definitely an A+ in this one. So yeah. That is my review of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 114 Darkest Hour and Daredevil Black Armor #1. So, as always, if at any point you guys liked what you saw or heard in this video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you know anytime we upload any new content. Please also be sure to leave a comment below. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts are on them. Especially on Daredevil, if you understood it more than me, please leave a comment and explain it to me. So just keep an eye out for some more content. Like I said in a recent video, we will be moving soon, so videos might become a little more sporadic. But my top 10 will be coming soon. I have that list just about done. I want to say I'm about 8 on there, 9. 8 for sure, 9-ish, but I will have it done and I will do that video before we move from this space. As always, please stay safe, stay healthy, and I will catch everyone next time. Later, everybody.